Hey guys, Ken Scott, Senior U.S. Immigration Law Intelligence Analyst with www.usentryWaiverServices.com. Aren't you guys already cleared to enter USA? Well, I guess not. All right, guys, let's get right into today's topic. This is one that has came up quite a few times, and I've got to put this out there to set the record straight, so to speak. Today's title: U.S. waivers and COVID. Why not using your U.S. waiver is no excuse for border issues. All right, guys. Unless you've been living under a rock or on the planet Pluto, um, I think pretty much everyone on Earth of sound mind has heard of COVID or even COVID-19. You guys are also well aware COVID came out, which is like what started becoming really big, like around what February, March, January 2020. So I think it came out like November 2019, but early 2020 is when it got really, really when it made headlines. It essentially shut down the world. It caused supply chain disruptions, everything. You guys already know what happened. I don't have to go through it. Now, guys, during that same time period, some of you guys were also issued U.S. entry waivers. And some of you guys are already in the USA without a waiver. COVID did shut things down. Now, guys, the point I'm getting at is you guys that had the U.S. entry waivers back then. I say you had one in February 2020. I'll go as far as to say March, April 2020. You had a U.S. entry waiver. You did not travel to the USA because of COVID. Okay, fine. COVID ended. What? I'll go as far as to say 2022, give or take. COVID's probably pretty much done. So during that 2, 3 year period, you did not travel. Here's the thing, guys. Some of you guys call me and say, I had a waiver. I did not travel because of COVID. Guys, that's no excuse. There's no excuse. And Homeland Security is going to have the same mindset. I get people who say to me, I've overstayed because of COVID. I couldn't get back to Canada. No excuse. It's BS. You could still get back to Canada. If nothing else, the uh um the pre-clearance, let's just say a YVR, the pre-clearance from YVR to, let's say, I don't know, SeaTac, whatever, you could still enter Canada by air. Mind you, you were putting your life in your hands, you were taking a chance with your life. I get that. And you had to quarantine and who knows where, and that was a very draconian. I get all that. But you cannot say I could not get back to Canada. You could get back to Canada, but it's just some things you had to deal with. A lot of hoops you had to jump through to get back. I give that to you. But you could get back to Canada technically. So you cannot say I overstayed because of COVID because I could not get back to Canada because the borders were closed. Now you might have been in a hospital. That's something different. But if you at like a friend's place, buddy's place, and you say I could not get back to Canada because the borders were closed, that's not technically true. You could get back. You could have flown back and forth. And yes, it was extremely dangerous. At that time, I was at the office in London, England, we have, which is still there. And COVID was a lot worse in England than over here, I think. A lot worse. And I still get PTSD from that, how bad it was in the United Kingdom for COVID. So the point is, the border is not going to give you credit for that time you did not travel because of COVID. So if you took 2 years, if you had a 5 year waiver, you took 2 years off, the board's not going to say, okay, you know what, yeah, COVID will give you 2 years, extra credit. It doesn't work that way because you didn't use that waiver on COVID. The board is going to say that's your choice, that's your fault, your problem, not theirs. So you're not going to get any credit for it. So when you guys call, you can tell me I didn't travel because of COVID, and I'm going to tell you this very thing I'm saying now. I'm going to say the border does not factor that in. I'll say it like that because that's like a nicer way of saying, but the border is not going to factor in you didn't travel because of COVID. Because that was your choice not to travel. Wise choice, yeah. That's your choice not to travel. It's not that you could not travel, it was your choice not to travel. And rightly so. It was dangerous at the time. So again, the board is not going to give you any extra credit for that. That's just 2 years you lost by your own choosing, as far as they look at it. Some people say, well, that's not really fair. And in a lot of ways, it's not fair. Here's the thing, and I said this in other videos. The nice way I can say this is DHS is not concerned with what's fair for waiver applicants because their mindset is they have other visitors around the world who don't need waivers. That's their mindset. That is, they're not concerned about what's quote unquote fair and not fair to a waiver applicant. Is it fair for them to charge you $1,100 US for a waiver and $1,175 for a deportation waiver if you need it? Is that fair? Only you can answer that question. Their mindset is these are the rules, these are the conditions, this is what we're looking for. And these are the hoops. You got a choice. Jump through the hoops. If we like you, we'll let you in. You don't jump through the hoops, we don't like you, you're not coming in. Or jump through the hoops, if we still don't like you, you may not get in. So how do you get around all this stuff? Simple. Contact Ken Scott at 604-562-8140. Me being a former federal officer and former law enforcement officer that was previously posted in Washington State, I know how to get around a lot of this stuff. And it's very, very few things I cannot get around. So the like the child rape, things like that, or some of the child molestation type stuff, that is challenging. We can get around it now. We got some new tools in our arsenal to get around it, but yeah, that is hard to get around. The other stuff, drug trafficking, people used to, you know, wash the money, whatever, uh, growing the weed, all those kind of other activities I won't get into here. We can get around that stuff. So that's not even the issue. Anyway, I'm a bit tired. I don't know if you guys can tell. I can barely keep my eyes open. The main reason for that is lack of sleep because of the fact of this caseload. We have so many case files, it's actually overwhelming me. Not just me, the other staff members as well. So I've even had to put in extra time for this stuff. And like I said, I can barely keep my eyes open right now. Anyway, Ken Scott, Senior U.S. Immigration Law Intelligence Analyst with www.usentryWaiverServices.com. And it's 888-908-3841 or 604-562-8140. And also remember, guys, like I've told you many times, you guys are going to have some patience dealing with CBP and dealing with this stuff. Because like I said, waiver applicants are at the bottom of the totem pole, bottom of the list of priorities for DHS. In simple terms, they don't care about you guys. They say, it's the process, pay the fee. If not, there's the door, use it. It's a harsh way for me to say it, but hey, a fact is a fact. They don't give really a flying flamingo about you. And I'm saying it in a nice way. Is it fair? Only you can answer that. And I'm out. Have a great day.